right, so we'll go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to today's session on telling your nonprofit story using your Candid profile. Might have heard these be called GuideStar. Oh, thank you. GuideStar profiles is another term for this. Candid likes to change up their names on things. So you hear me use a GuideStar profile or Candid profile, they're the same thing. I've had some folks introduce themselves in the chat. If we can, Deborah's introduced herself, but Sentil, if you're able to hop on the mic and maybe just briefly introduce yourself to everyone, that would be awesome. And then 11, oh, awesome, you introduced yourself in the chat, excellent. Nandini, if you would like to introduce yourself in the chat as well as we get going here, that would be great. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. So hello and welcome. Thank you for attending today's session. Some of you might be familiar with your Candid profiles. Awesome. Some of you are not, and that's okay. Hopefully everyone today will still walk away having learned something from the presentation. So today we're talking about Candid profiles or GuideStar profiles. Oopsie, go back. And we are just going to take a look at today at just briefly what they are, why they're important for your organization to kind of claim them on the GuideStar website and to leverage the data and information in there to better tell your nonprofit story to attract potential donors and hopefully raise money. So just briefly, I'm Taylor Vasquez. I am the Knowledge Services Coordinator here at Forefront. I'm one of two librarians here, along with Sarah Rice, who is our Research and Knowledge Services Manager. So she's also in attendance today, which is great. And yes, much of my job is conducting prospect research and general research for Forefront members, the community, and our allies in the sector, and just connecting folks to the resources and information they need to be successful. We all might be familiar with Forefront, but just in case, I know we have some new folks or some people who haven't heard of us before, we are just a statewide membership association for nonprofits, grant makers, public agencies, advisors, and our allies. And we are unique in that we are, bringing all these groups together in one space. And so we do that through providing education, advocacy, thought leadership, facilitating collective action around issues that are important to our members and our sector. So just some brief context on us and what we do. So this nonprofit is one of our education services. So we'll hop into our agenda for today. Let's jump in. So today we will start by learning about how Candid profiles are useful for fundraising and the seals of transparency that you can earn on these profiles that demonstrate your commitment to being open and transparent and why those seals matter. Candid profiles contain information about just millions of nonprofits in the United States, and they're populated with information from 990s, nonprofits themselves, and other third-party sources. So they're a great way to share information about your mission and help you work with millions of potential donors. So these profiles really help to paint a fuller publicly available picture of your nonprofit. And GuideStar.org is essentially a database that collects these profiles. So just like all of you are doing your homework on potential donors and foundations, these donors are also, doing due diligence on you to research your org's credibility, financial stability, and impact. And so looking at a nonprofit's GuideStar or Candid profile is one primary method of doing that. So we're also going to go over how to claim your Candid profile and update it. And we're also going to cover earning a bronze seal of transparency in your profile, as well as steps to earn gold and platinum, and information on outreach tools you can use to share your nonprofit's progress in your Candid profile. So at the end of the session, you should know, one, what your Candid profile is and how it's important, and how to claim it, what each seal represents and how to earn them. Additionally, hopefully you'll learn just how your GuideStar info can be and is shared with over 200 plus charitable sites and organizations that have a partnership with or also use GuideStar, including Facebook and Amazon Smile. Okay, so how is GuideStar useful for fundraising, and what are these seals of transparency I'm talking about? So there are a lot of nonprofits in the United States, I think like almost 2 million. That's a big number. And as you can probably imagine, raising funds is a very competitive process. You know, it's daunting for nonprofits seeking funding, and it's also daunting to potential donors and funders. You know, that's a lot of different people you could potentially be, you know, granting money to. And so that's why you tend to see foundations or people giving to the same organizations over and over again. And that's because, you know, over time, they have come to trust certain organizations, and building trust in other orgs can just be a difficult or lengthy process. So since trust is so important, how can we build trust? Surveys show that a nonprofit's accomplishments are the #1 factor in gaining a donor's trust. So are you achieving what you have set out to do, right? And how are you demonstrating it? Other indicators of credibility are things like name recognition, so building brand awareness. There's also information coming from third-party evaluations that could affect people's opinions when searching for a nonprofit. It's like Charity Check or Charity Navigator. You know, these sites, you know, might just simply evaluate whether or not you're up to date on your IRS paperwork. Others might give you a score based on, you know, how you're spending money. You know, something else, you know, the Better Business Bureau also would fall under this category. Really just, you know, any third party, you know, reporting body that will kind of shape the opinion of folks looking into a nonprofit. Financial audits might also be helpful here, although results are kind of showing, you know, financial ratios seem to have be declining in importance to funders, although they're still a factor. And what I mean by ratios are just, you know, comparisons. It might be just comparisons between your current assets, your liabilities, total program expenses, total expenses, things that just demonstrate the financial health of your organization and your programs. And so really what this all means is that nonprofits have to be transparent with donors and share their accomplishments. Being transparent here might help to build more trust. You know, can you demonstrate that you're setting out what you say you'd like to, that you're accomplishing what you'd like to. And so why might a donor find nonprofits to be untrustworthy? You know, the same survey shows that top reasons for a lack of trust might be a perceived lack of honesty and transparency. There is a belief that nonprofits might be acting out of greed or misallocating funds. You know, or for whatever reason, a nonprofit just has a negative reputation. And while, you know, yeah, there have perhaps been some more high profile scandals or issues pertaining to nonprofits in these situations, you know, this perhaps is a little bit uncharitable, no pun intended. This data is certainly not reflective of all nonprofits, but, you know, this is a perception that exists, and it's good to keep these points in mind as you continue to grow and develop your nonprofit and seek funding. You know, improving transparency via things like updating your Candid profile and earning seals is a step in the right direction here. So as you complete your Candid profile, you can earn seals of transparency, which indicate that you have key information in your nonprofit profile. So when you earn a seal of transparency, you earn that because you are providing context for the IRS information already in your organization's nonprofit profile. You know, and this just gives potential donors and funders better insight into your work, and it helps you stand out from other nonprofits in the database. all by claiming your org's profile and completing the required fields. The amount of information you provide determines which of the 4 seals you earn. So there are 4 levels. There is bronze, which you earn. This is most basic thing you can earn, and it's usually fairly easy to achieve this. You earn this by just sharing your mission, so provide your mission statement, and basic confirmation for the organization so that donors can find you. There is silver, which is the next level, and you earn silver by providing program details and brand details. That includes things like your social media, videos, pictures, information about populations you serve, things like that. And this is to just help guide funding decisions. Next level is gold. And this is earned by sharing financial and leadership information to help you gain trust and support. And then finally, we have the platinum seal, which is the highest level seal you can earn. In order to earn a platinum seal, you have to show your metrics. You must show how you measure your progress and results. And so the information that needs to be shared to earn a platinum seal needs to demonstrate the difference your work is making, essentially. And to earn a platinum seal, you must also complete the bronze, silver, and gold requirements. So you kind of have to earn one after another. And these seals and really just updating your Candid profile, keeping it, rich with information, that is just one way to have your transparency be tangibly demonstrated. It's a really important tool to help you get noticed by funders. Your Candid profile with the seal gives donors what they need. There are no stories without numbers, and there are no numbers without stories. The challenge here is, how do you tell your story so that you can stand out for millions of nonprofits, and how do you tell stories and convey data that will inspire trust in donors? And Candid profiles kind of allow you to do both. You can show your impact via numbers and stories in your Candid profile. And one thing that's really important to note here is that your Candid profile is what you make of it. Every nonprofit that has an EIN, that has filed a 990, has a Candid profile. Claiming your profile and earning seals by updating information, fully fleshing out your profile will help you tell your nonprofit story. Your profile should ideally go beyond just what is available in a 990. Talk about programs you're proud of, outcomes that show positive results or negative results, because that is just a part of being transparent, right? But just demonstrate the work that you're doing. And I thought it might be helpful if I just kind of showed you some examples of, we'll say, good and bad Candid profiles. So you should still be seeing my screen here. So let's start with a good one. So this is the profile for Exceptional Minds. They have earned a platinum seal. So let's look at what they have in their profile that makes them so exemplary. Their mission statement is available. Anyone can read it. They have details put in about the areas they work in, the populations they serve, where you can find them, who the executive director is. They have really rich information about their programs and a problem statement. So you can see they have 4 programs here listed with just details about each one, as well as the areas they work in. Photos, videos, again, to just help paint a better picture of the organization's brand. Really important, and this is what they need to get to platinum, right, is their metrics. And you can see they have data they put in based on data collected related to their programs, and you can see just these are the metrics they're using to measure the success of their programs. So they have a lot of different sets of data provided. They have clear information about any sustainable development goals, as well as just general goals and strategies for the organization. In this section here, you could choose to upload your strategic plan, or you could answer questions just about what your org is trying to accomplish and what you're doing to make that happen. So they have all that information. Their financials are uploaded. They would have needed to have done this to reach gold, but you can view their revenue versus expenses, other sets of data here. All this is available. They have information about their operations. Org demographics is really important. So as you can see, it's rich in information. There's a lot that can be gleaned from this profile. And then to take a look at another one here, oops. Not trying to put this nonprofit on blast, but here is a not so great example. And the differences should be pretty stark, right? They don't have anything in their profile. There's no mission statement provided, no information about an executive director, no program info, very limited financial data. Only operations information is, details about some trustees. So, the differences are pretty obvious. And, when you just think of it from a, donor or funder perspective, which nonprofit is, piquing your interest a bit more? Which one seems more reliable, more open? It's probably this one. So just something to think about there. Okay, whoopsie, gosh. Okay, so, and transparency pays off. Research done by Villanova University in Wisconsin, published research in the Journal of Accounting, Auditing, and Finance. Their research they conducted, it shows donors give more to transparent nonprofits, and transparent organizations tend to be stronger organizations. So what they did, they analyzed more than 6,300 nonprofits in the GuideStar database, defining transparent as sharing information beyond the 990 with the public. Because nonprofits voluntarily provide information beyond the 990 to earn GuideStar seals, they compared nonprofits that earned a seal to those that did not. And they found that as a group, nonprofits that are updating their profiles, earning seals, on average 50% more in contributions the following year compared to organizations that didn't. An analysis also suggests that these organizations had just a stronger performance across the board, just in areas of governance, finances, operations, things like that. So transparency does pay off. All right, so talking a lot about these seals, let's just really quickly run through their benefits. So benefits to earning a seal include you are creating or enhancing your online identity for free, and that's huge. If someone searches your organization on Google, your website might come up if you have one, but more than likely your Candid profile is showing up as well. So donors are looking at that profile. And this just helps make the case for funding your work. Donors might even look at your Candid profile before they look at your website. So you want to make sure that information on there is up to date and that it is, effectively highlighting your work. Just makes you a more attractive candidate for funding. Earning seals increases your visibility on guidestar.org. And also with over 200 Candid partners. And we'll be getting into that in a moment here, just discussing how this data is shared with other groups and talking about, who is looking at these profiles all of the time, because this information is published in more than one place, essentially. Nonprofits report that having an updated profile saves you time. Because all of your important information is in one place. You can direct someone to your profile for any information they might need. So this is useful for I mean, for staff, for board members, potential donors, all sorts of stakeholders that are seeking information on you. So if someone wants to see your letter of determination, if someone wants to learn more about your programs, financials, whatever, that information is easily found in your Candid profile. And I'm going to say it so many times over this presentation, earning seals just demonstrates your commitment to transparency. There is a section within your profile or your GuideStar account where you can access outreach information, and so details on where and how you can share this seal on your website and your email and newsletters. And yeah, earning seals just tells donors that you are open and honest. You know, having an updated profile just looks good. You know, you're telling them what you're doing and what you are achieving. All right, so let's look at some additional ways nonprofits GuideStar profiles are reaching people, because this information doesn't just show up on GuideStar. So there are a lot of platforms that are integrated with or use this content. So tech giants, many online sites are providing a place for individuals to easily make donations to nonprofits. So Facebook and Amazon Smile are good examples. So those websites are integrated with GuideStar. Information that you find about nonprofits on these sites comes from your Candid profile. Donor advised funds. Candid works with large financial companies to make, or donor advised funds who manage donations for private individuals. And within these donor advised fund platforms, they are able to view GuideStar profiles to help make a decision of, where they should give. And that one's pretty important because it's not always easy to get in front of a donor advised fund manager. So having an updated profile that they can just check really quickly is awesome. There are giving platforms that work with Candid as well. So these platforms facilitate giving, like Just Give and Network for Good, where they get information about nonprofits on their websites that comes from GuideStar. And then also just the media. So many news sites and academic researchers are drawing their information on nonprofits from GuideStar. So yeah, so these are just, some of the larger partners that Candid has, but there are over 200 organizations that are leveraging information from these Candid profiles. And if you'd like to know more about that, I just threw a link in the chat here. If you'd like to learn more about who Candid's partners are, who they're working with, who's leveraging this information, that link or that website should provide you with some more information. And we can take a closer look at some of these. I'm sure maybe some of you have raised money on Facebook, donated to a charitable org on Facebook, or know someone who has. It is one of the fastest growing ways that giving happens online. Facebook, more than $3 billion has been raised for over 1 million organizations on Facebook. So there are a large number of donations that are happening here. You do need a GuideStar profile in order to be eligible to fundraise on Facebook. And from a donor's perspective, if they want more information on a potential nonprofit, Facebook will direct these individuals to GuideStar profiles in order to learn more. And a lot, hundreds of thousands of donors are using Facebook. So people are using this website to do their homework. So just one example. Another one, Amazon Smile. Amazon Smile is a program through Amazon where a small percentage of a purchase will go back to a nonprofit of the purchaser's choice. And within Amazon Smile, basic information about your organization or an organization is displayed on Amazon, and this information comes from your Candid profiles. And just like with Facebook, there are millions of dollars, going through Amazon Smile to charities. So this is still definitely a very viable way of getting funding. And just like with Facebook, you do have to have a GuideStar profile to be eligible for Amazon Smile. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about Fidelity or just donor advised funds. I'm pretty sure all major US-based donor advised funds, so, including Fidelity Charitable, these donor advised fund accounts, they link to Candid profile information and they display it within their platforms. And donor advised funds are just a really big piece of the giving, fundraising, whatever pie. There's a lot of money going to donor advised funds. And like I stated earlier, you can't always reach DAF managers directly. They might be managing multiple funds. Not everyone has time to meet with every potential nonprofit. So when, donors are in their account thinking about donations, maybe doing a search, your GuideStar profile will show up in their donor account area. And this just helps to quickly give them an overview of their organization, and also just enable donations wherever the donor might be. So really, really useful for, perhaps getting yourself noticed by groups or individuals that maybe are a bit more challenging to approach. Okay, let's check chat for a minute. Awesome. Thank you, Sarah, for managing chat. Okay. All right, so fun stuff. Let's actually get into accessing your profile and claiming it. So we'll start with accessing. So I'm just going to show you step by step how to go about claiming. So to claim your profile, you will need to register for an individual account on guidestar.org. So if you haven't done that yet, you will need to do so. And you have to register in an individual account first, just so Candid knows who you are. So once you do that, you can go ahead and sign in. And one pro tip here, if you're creating an account, use your organizational email to create your profile. So if you have one, this will streamline the process of connecting your personal account with your organization's profile. All right. So you have registered and you are signed in. As you sign in, on the GuideStar homepage, the bright yellow homepage, you're going to click on up in the top action bar, search bar, the update nonprofit profile. Should look the same across everyone's browsers, everyone's screens. And within that page, if you click on update nonprofit profile, you will essentially be prompted to claim your profile. And so Candid on this page will walk you through getting matched with your organization. Because remember, if you have filed in a 990, your profile almost certainly exists in GuideStar. So if you're already on GuideStar, you will search for your organization's name, and it'll pop up and you'll be able to say, yep, this is the profile I want to claim. I work for this org. And then you'll be asked to fill out essentially a claim form. You need to validate your connection to this organization. And this is just meant to help verify that you are who you say you are, that you are allowed to represent the org you are claiming to represent. Candid does take this seriously. They're not saying that, only the CEO is allowed to make updates, but they just really want to make sure that you actually do work for, whatever organization. And like I said, the best way to confirm that you work for the org that you say you do is to use your work email when creating your individual account. So for example, I have a @myforefront.org email, and that's what I would register with. If you do not have a domain email account, you can absolutely still register with the Gmail or whatever account, but doing that, Candid will ask you for additional documentation to prove that you represent the org you are claiming to represent. So obviously not everyone has a domain email, but it is the fastest way to get approved. I think they say just within minutes, you should be approved and ready to start updating if you use your an organizational email. But not everyone has that. So if additional documentation is needed, you will need to provide your, upload your IRS EIN insurance letter or your IRS letter of affirmation. And you'll upload this to your profile. It will take a few days for Candid to approve this, as they do need to review the documents and then issue approval. If you have, I don't know, somehow lost or misplaced these documents, you can request copies from the IRS. That could probably take a while, so hopefully you have not lost those. But yeah, so those two documents, or one of those two documents, is needed to then just approve you essentially. And please note that I said letter of affirmation. Candid does not accept letters of determination as proof, as it is too publicly available. They can be downloaded by anyone from the IRS at any time, so therefore anyone could use it to claim and access your organization's profile. So letter of affirmation or issuance letter, not determination. Alrighty. Okay, so once you do get approved, you will be able to start modifying your profile. Yay. So you get your approval, you log into your GuideStar account. You'll click on Update Nonprofit Profile again, and instead you'll be taken to a page that looks just like the image provided. It's going to show you your organization that you're connected to, essentially. So we see Candid here because that's the example used, but you will see your organization if you log in yourself after getting approved. So on this new page, you'll see that you can edit the profile, assign other managers to help you fill out information. You'll see there's a section for benefits, which we'll talk about, and then you can also look at donation reporting if you have enabled donations on your profile. Okay, so let's talk about what updating might look like, and specifically how you can just really quickly, within 5 minutes, probably get a bronze seal. And so let's talk about getting to bronze. This should be relatively easy to achieve. This seal is really just about donors being able to find you. And all that's needed here is some basic information, and it's stuff you should already have on hand. You shouldn't have to ask someone for this. So 4 key pieces of information required to earn a bronze seal. You'll need contact info for your organization, like a mailing address. You'll need donation information, so where people can send donations, information about your mission, so provide your mission statement, identify the issue areas you work in and the populations you serve. This makes you more findable in the GuideStar database. And then finally, information on your leader, just what's their name, who they are. So that's all you need to get a bronze seal. So yeah, anyone should be able to do that fairly quickly. And so then also don't forget to publish. And I'm gonna go ahead and skip to this slide here. Don't forget to publish your information. You know, while you're editing your profile, you are essentially in draft mode. And when you press publish, that information that you contributed becomes the info that publicly appears in your profile. So usually after really 15 minutes or less, information will start to appear. If you're not seeing it right away, don't worry. I will briefly just show you. So this is Candid's nonprofit profile. So you want to see kind of what it looks like on the back end here. If you were within your own profile, so this is what you would see on the update page. It tells you your progress with earning the seals and you know, your progress with filling out the required information. So you can click into any one of these and begin to update and edit information there. If it's been some time since you've provided some data, you'll have a little box here that tells you to review. So this is kind of what the update screen looks like. And when you go to publish here, you'll just have to check some boxes certifying that this information that you're putting in is up to date, you're, cool with representing this organization. You'll also have options to turn on or off certain donation permissions. So if you would like donations to be, if you would like other donors to give to your organization through GuideStar partners like Amazon, Smile, whoever, you'll check that box. You can also add just a donate button to your GuideStar profile and turn that on as well. So that's just kind of what it looks like on the back end. And then obviously publish now. We'll talk about benefits, but just the benefits section here is usually resources that will help you with outreach and kind of sharing out your Candid profile. So yeah, that's kind of what it looks like on the back end there. Alrighty. So what's next? You've registered an individual account on GuideStar, you've claimed your account, and maybe you've even earned a bronze seal. So what kind of comes next? Well, one thing you can do is try and aim for those silver or gold seals. For silver, only 2 key elements are required here. You need to display, or ideally you'll be displaying your top 3 to 5 programs. And for each program, you're just writing a short description, 1 or 2 paragraphs, not a whole essay of what, just what your programs do in your community, who you're serving, the geographic areas you work in, things like that. And the other part of silver is helping you communicate your brand. So since this information goes onto GuideStar and other websites, you can tell your story by including your logo, tagline, social media information, any videos or images. These are all things that kind of fall under the brand umbrella. I believe there is also an option to say just we don't have them, and that is also acceptable. That's not a problem. Let's talk about gold. Gold focuses on 2 things, your financials and your people, specifically your board and your leader demographics. So for the financial stuff, you can share your recent year financials, so an audited financial statement from 2020 or 2021. You can also manually enter in financial information, and details required here are usually things you share on your tax form, so total expenses, assets, things you might just have on your tax form already, and you can just enter them in instead of uploading the whole file. If you upload an audited financial statement, you can still also fill in the manual fields. And if you are manually filling in information, just make sure those numbers, match those on your most recent 990. And you might want to consider completing this with assistance from your financial officer just to make sure everything is lining up, right? So people stuff. Information needed here for gold. Candid wants the names of your board members and senior staff. And gold is where you can also start sharing demographics of leadership, and demographic questions here pertain to race and ethnicity, gender identity, sexual orientation and disability status. The first 2, race and ethnicity and gender identity, people tend to feel more open about answering. The latter 2, understand are a bit more private, but it is good to get, some of these questions answered if possible, especially if, you want to highlight people of color in leadership positions or people with disabilities in leadership positions, things like that. But please don't just assume what information to put in here. It's always good to ask leadership how they would like these questions answered. There is also a decline to state option. And so Candid does provide a guide on how to collect and share DEI data. I'll go ahead and share that in a minute, but this guide, it really just provides all the context your leaders might need, for providing this data. Why do you need this information? Where does it go? Just kind of gives you some guidance there, and also provides the questions that are being answered. So yeah, just remember to do this with respect. Don't ask them, don't just guess what they would like put in. It's for a public profile, just to enhance, visibility on your Candid profile. And just obviously it's totally voluntary. You can decline to state. There is an option, I think, to say we don't collect this information. It's not going to hurt you. Just, answer the question. Okay. All right, platinum. So a big one. To get to platinum, you need to answer questions about your organization's strategy and goals. So two key elements are required here. Strategy and goals and your metrics. And so for the strategy section, you can just upload your strategic plan if you have it, or you can answer two key questions. And they are, what are you trying to accomplish? And how will you make this happen? If you're a newer organization and you're not totally sure what to put there, you can utilize GuideStar to look at other profiles and see how they have answered these questions. That's probably a good way to start thinking about that. And then for metrics, organizations need to share at least one metric from the past 2 years. So for this section, orgs need to talk about how they're measuring their progress and results. And so however you are thinking about that, whatever your personal metrics are for your organization, that is what Candid wants to see. And if you have a more established nonprofit, it's ideal to include 3 to 5 years of data if possible. And this is just an opportunity to provide context for the numbers, both good and bad, and just explain how the metric specifically relates to your organization. So could include info on how the metric is related to a particular program and what program is and what population is served. And so we saw this in the profile earlier, but these are just some examples of data provided in a nonprofit's profile, just detailing data related to one of their programs. So that's what Candid wants to see there for a platinum seal. And after you have earned your seal, you can share your accomplishments. So in the benefits section that I showed you, you'll see links to get resources for how to share your seal, get images of your seal, get some sample posts. You can access a toolkit that will help you share the news of your seal on your website. So it's just a good way to connect with donors on social media. You could potentially inspire donors by making your seal visible in emails or newsletters, share it on your website. So they have resources there to kind of help you, kind of get your profile out there. All right, so we're kind of nearing the end here. I'm just going to plug some resources that might be helpful for you along the way. Candid has a 2022 Seals of Transparency Guide, and I will link to these once I finish screen sharing here, but they do have a transparency guide that will help you identify information you need to gather to earn these seals. Highly recommend visiting help.guidestar.org. They really helpful support, just answering any general questions. And then I also would like to just talk briefly about the Go for Gold promotion. So Candid is currently offering a promotion for nonprofits with an annual revenue of less than $1 million a year and have also earned a gold seal on their profile. If you report that information to Candid, they will grant you 1 full year of access to Foundation Directory Essential version, which is a very, very useful prospect research database. So that is another reason why you should be filling out these profiles, because it does get you some nice perks. So that kind of concludes this here. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Does anyone have any questions? No, that's okay. If you do ever, have questions, perhaps at the end of this, you can always reach out to library@myforefront.org. Just the general questions, we'll answer you there. Well, all right. If
Taylor, I had one question.
Yes, excellent.
I was wondering, do you have any tips as an experienced user if you run into problems? Like, would you recommend Googling, emailing them? Is there a chat function?
Yeah, so actually on help.guidestar.org, they do have a chat feature, and they're pretty responsive. If you don't get a response in the chat, someone will email you, but GuideStar does have a lot of just support resources, including a chat and email function. So if you run into any technical issues or any hiccups, they are a really great and fast resource.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, I think we will end it here. Thank you all so much for your time and attention. If you think of a question afterwards, please email me or library@myforefront.org. But yeah, thank you all for your time.